Hi, welcome back to my home studio. This is my day 7 video, I believe, in my quarantine series that I'm doing, since we're all kind of like home quarantined out of the studios and everything. I thought I would share little tidbits of information every day for my students and for you all. Yesterday, if you saw that video, I showed how to make a shaker from the pinch method, and I didn't have the hole cut at the end of yesterday's video, but in this video I show how to actually cut the stopper hole so the rubber stopper will fit properly after it fires. I'll put some links in the video description of where you can find rubber stoppers if you're looking for that sort of thing. Shakers are such a fun thing to make and such a little personal thing to have. I really enjoy them. And this was for my Ceramics 2 students who were supposed to be doing shakers this week, but unfortunately we're all at home, so they don't have clay, so they're just going to see how to do it, even if they can't do it. So, best of luck to you. Give me a shout out in the comments if you have anything specific that you'd like for me to focus on in the videos. I have no like real determined plans as far as my plan of attack for these videos, so I'm open to suggestions. Stoppers are sold, okay, in multiple sizes. These are just 2 sizes, but there's a bunch of sizes. I'll put some links in the video description for you all. I forget if I got mine at Axner or Aftosa. I cannot remember, but I'll put that in the video description. But I do want to show you a couple things. First of all, the outside is the part that looks like this, okay? So the flange is going to be the wide part that sticks on the outside of the shaker. The little domed part will totally go on the inside, and then this little flange right here, that little thing that's sticking out, that's actually the diameter that I want to make the hole now before the piece is fired, because after it dries and fires, it will actually shrink to be that smaller diameter of in between those 2 pieces. Now, it's impossible really to trace this one, so what I usually do is I trace the big hole, but do not cut it that large. That would be too large. So let me just show you. Yeah, that's the bottom. Okay. I'm going to use the smaller one. I typically use the smaller stopper for my shakers, but you could use whichever size. All right, I'm going to trace the outer flange. But as I said, if I cut the hole that size, that would be too large. Now, you could use any kind of a knife. You could use an X-Acto, but I'm just using a fettling knife. My trick that I show my students is I start in the center of the hole and I whittle. I whittle the hole until I get really close to the line. I don't want to be on the line, of course, but I'm close to it. Now, if you look at my mine, it does have tendency, I tend to make my holes slightly tapered, so it gets a little skinnier down in there. I'll probably have to trim that in a minute. So, as I stick this up to it, you can see it's not quite fitting quite yet. So, I'm going to trim just a tad bit more away. And I'm trying to make sure that the hole doesn't get a lot skinnier as it goes farther down in, because that can prevent it from going in. So there we go. Now, as I do that, it should fit freely. Now, this is not done. You can see that the stopper is protruding. We don't want the stopper to protrude, because if that protrudes, it'll end up by rocking on the stopper. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to make a little space here for this flange to sit, and it'll kind of sit down in there. It'll be seated. So I am making a beveled cut. So as I trim this away, you can see I'm cutting this, just a little beveled corner off all the way around. So it's a slight beveled indent. Okay, and now we'll double check that, make sure it's just a little tight on one side. I'm going to bring this just a little wider. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Now, the rule of thumb is at this stage, it should be just fitting. It should not be super snug at all. Like, it should fit in there freely without a lot of extra movement, and you should not have to force it in any way. So that stopper hole is good. Now, for making the holes on the top, you can use any variety of things. You could use a needle tool if you want, but I prefer using a drill bit or a salt and pepper drill. You could certainly use a small drill bit, but this little tool right here, let's see if I can get it to focus. Okay, this is, I'm pretty sure it's Kemper, but it doesn't, I can't see it on there. It might have worn off. You can see it has like a little drill bit on either end. I'm going to use the drill bit, that's the fatter one. So I put it in there, rotate it as I go, and again, you could just do this by hand with any old drill bit. It helps to give you a cleaner hole than you usually get than if you're using, say, a needle tool. A needle tool will often, it's just pushing the clay, it's not cutting it. So you often have more cleanup that you have to do. Now, there's no set rule of thumb for the number of holes. That is really a personal decision on what people like. I often have students say, oh, you have to have, you know, this number of holes. I'm like, no, not really. You can do whatever you want. So I just like to have my holes usually with, I didn't even space it very evenly, but a lot of my work kind of hinges on 6-pointed geometric designs. So I usually do 6 on the outside and then 1 in the middle, but you can do it however you want. And that is the easy peasy way that you can make a shaker from a pinch pot, cleaning it using the basic tools that we've used at other times, shredders, ribs, and then, of course, you'll just need stoppers. And I'll link these. Look in the video description. I'll link stuff like the stoppers, and definitely on my Amazon sheet, I'll link whatever they have on Amazon. I'm not too sure if they have these or not. And I hope you find that interesting. Shoot me any questions that you might have, and stay healthy. Good luck, and keep potting, everyone.